Every year, New York City throws away 650,000 tons of residential food scraps. So that doesn't even account for commercial food waste or any of the other types of waste that we throw out, yard waste, any of that. Just food scraps coming out of New York City homes. That's 650,000 tons, and each ton is 2,000 pounds. Composting is kind of humans plus decomposition. So it's when humans take advantage of this incredible opportunity presented to us by nature, sort of a law in nature that already happens, to on the one hand reduce the amount of waste we're sending to landfills, and on the other create a natural fertilizer that we can use in our gardens, green spaces, tree pits, wherever. We have this quick reaction. We've grown up our entire lives taking the things we don't want anymore in our spaces and just putting them in the trash can. And it's such a habit that we just, you do it without thinking. And so we need to get, the big challenge that I see us confronting is trying to change that habit and make it so that you don't think about it when you throw it in the other bin. As of about 3 years ago, I had never composted before. I sort of knew what it was, but at my home growing up, we didn't have a compost pile, and that wasn't something that was that I knew a lot about. And so 3 years ago, I took the Master Composter course that is offered by the New York City Compost Project, and we did some tours of other sites in New York City that had composting, and it was just like, it just almost made too much sense. It was this opportunity that wasn't really being, wasn't as widespread as I think it should be, and where people were composting right here, and and then that compost was then being used. It's like this, when you see it, it's this incredible, rich, dark material that then not only is, makes the plants in your neighborhood super healthy and, helps you grow food or cares for your street tree, but also it's just beautiful. Our goal is really to make composting accessible to residents in Queens. Not just accessible, but really easy. And so we are trying to grow the number of drop-off sites where people can bring their food scraps. We don't have door-to-door composting in New York yet. Maybe that's where we're going. Maybe one day we'll have that. But right now, the people that are composting are making this incredible commitment to this kind of movement, I guess, that we're seeing. And what they're saying, I'm going to devote a portion of my freezer, which to a lot of families, that's a big deal. They have, they go shopping once a week or once every couple weeks, and that freezer space is really critical. And they're taking a portion of that freezer, they're filling it with food scraps, and then on our schedule, they're coming out, often walking with bags of food scraps out to our sites and dropping off their scraps. Even though we are growing very rapidly, we'll probably only collect this year about 150,000 pounds. But at the same time, we're really proud of that number because, number one, it's people who are getting up out of their homes and are coming out to put food scraps into our bins, and that's 150,000 pounds is a huge amount of, that's hundreds of households participating in the program. And secondly, all of that is staying here and being composted locally, and then we'll be able to provide the weight reduces down a little bit, but we'll be able to provide a sort of comparable amount of compost back to the community. So it's, we have a huge amount of waste. We need more people on board. We need, we really need New Yorkers to participate, but at the same time, we're really proud of all of those that are participating. One of the things that really keeps me going every day and keeps me digging in the trash and pulling out banana peels and living a very, I would say, compost-covered life is the people. It's really about kind of slowing down a moment in our lives and coming together with our community members. And so what's been interesting to me is that, what's great and what's really amazing about New York City is everything's so automatic. Life is very fast-paced, and we have access to so many different opportunities and services, and every moment of the day. And so I think that's an incredible thing about living in a city. But at the same time, sometimes we miss out on these sort of slower moments, or sometimes you can live in a community here and never know your neighbors. And I think what's kind of beautiful about what's happening with all these projects, whether it's a drop-off site in Jackson Heights, or a community compost site in Forest Hills, or a vacant lot, or a school composting project, what you're really seeing is people coming together over the compost bin, and the compost bin's almost secondary to what's going on there. It's just they come and they start out composting because they believe in it, because they want to have their food scraps composted here and the compost used to grow a greener New York. But they keep doing it in all types of weather. Compost for Brooklyn, during that horrible snowstorm that we had that basically shut down the city, Compost for Brooklyn was still open, and our shift leader was still standing there in the snowstorm, and people were literally climbing over snowbanks to get there to drop off their compost. I mean, it seems like lunacy, but I think it's kind of this, this space becomes a place that people love, and they, that where they know they're going to run into friendly faces, and then those same friendly faces they're going to see on their morning commute, or when they walk their dog, or when they go grocery shopping. And there's something that makes you feel so much safer and happier in your neighborhood when you have those connections. And I think that happens with a lot of other projects, but we're really seeing that happening over compost bins, and it's quite beautiful, even when people don't speak the same language. And that's definitely what gets me up every day, keeps me composting.